An American F-16 fighter jet dumped 2 fuel tanks into a lake in northern Japan on Tuesday morning.
It's the latest in a series of accidents involving U.S. military aircraft stationed in Japan. The incident happened shortly after the jet took off from Misawa Air Base in Aomori Prefecture. A U.S. Air Force statement says an engine fire led the pilot to jettison external fuel tanks for safety reasons. The aircraft was able to return to base. There are no reports of injuries on the ground. The fuel tanks were dropped over Lake Ogawara. It's a popular fishing destination even in winter. A local fishery association says there were 5 or 6 boats on the water at the time. It decided to suspend fishing until the water quality is tested and deemed safe.
A spray of water went up about 15 meters. It's ridiculous. There were other ships 100 to 200 meters away.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is demanding the U.S. military carry out safety checks on American aircraft stationed in Japan.
We immediately called on the U.S. to take stricter safety measures and thoroughly investigate the cause of this incident.
For more specific details on this latest incident, we spoke with Toshimichi Nagaiwa. He was himself a fighter pilot, and he served as a lieutenant general in Japan's Air Self-Defense Force.
F-16s can carry a 1,400-liter external fuel tank under each wing. They're meant to extend the range of the aircraft, so they can operate over a wider area. Once the extra fuel is spent in a combat setting, the fuel tanks are jettisoned while the jet approaches the target area. In this case, we're dealing with an aircraft doing ordinary maneuvers in the vicinity of Misawa Air Base. The pilot reported a fire, meaning it would have been extremely challenging to return to base with the tanks attached. So he jettisoned both tanks, and they fell over this particular area. In order to land safely at Misawa Air Base, the pilot had to gain altitude. It's referred to as a high-key approach, and proceeded with a forced landing. Then he lowered the landing gear. Regarding the procedures followed after declaring an emergency, I think the pilot made the right decisions in terms of protecting his own life and minimizing the impact on the area and on the ground. Well, the jettison tanks each carried 1,400 liters of fuel, so it's possible the fuel itself will have some impact on Lake Ogawara. But jet fuel is highly volatile, meaning it evaporates very quickly. So we're not looking at something on par with a spill of heavy oil at sea, which would have an impact over an extremely long period of time.
Nagaiwa also explained some of the factors behind the series of accidents involving U.S. military aircraft in Japan.
Recently, we have been witnessing several accidents involving the U.S. military, U.S. Marines, but also Japanese self-defense forces. Usually, there are several factors behind an accident. The security environment around Japan has become very tense nowadays. Both the U.S. military and Japanese self-defense forces have troops deployed on the front line, and they're in a fighting stance. They're constantly ready to face an extremely tense situation. So this is having an impact on the troops' fatigue, their stress, and the stability of the overall structure.